Hello, my friends, Gary girls, and fellow poets. Welcome back to Conversing with Poets. Hello, everyone. Hello, Trip, who's having a good boogie. Me too. I do. When we're doing the countdown, I put the sound on the stream and have a good boogie to the intro music myself, and I'm glad Trip did too. Hello, Trip. Hello, Mark. Hello, Tanya. Good to see you. Hello, Genevieve. Hello, class. Hello, everybody. Good to have you here. We got 7 likes already. Thank you so much for sharing that love. Thank you for making me feel special. I really, really appreciate it. I got the beanie back out because the weather has suddenly changed as soon as September hit. That was it. It's rain and it's a little bit chilly and all that. So yeah, autumn is definitely saying is saying hello. So hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Danny. Little Danny is in the house. Hello, Danny. Good song. Class always out there hitting that like button. Absolutely. Yeah, I changed the photo of me going like this to a new emoji. And with that being said, if you haven't already hit that like button, I know 8 of you already have, so thank you so much. If you haven't already hit that like button, that includes if you're watching playback. Please do hit that like button. It's completely free. It takes just a few seconds, but it does really help me and the channel. So I appreciate that. And thank you so much for being here, uh, spending your Sunday evening, Sunday afternoon, Sunday morning, wherever you are in the world. Actually, you might even be on a Monday morning, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you so much for spending some time here with us. We're going to talk some poetry. We're going to talk about poetry for kids, poetry for children. When it comes to me sitting down and planning these streams, I usually try and be influenced by what's happened since the last stream. And yesterday, I did some work with the Surrey Poet Laureateship. The Surrey libraries have been doing a summer reading challenge for kids. They set out a challenge for kids to read 6 books over the summer, and yesterday was everything sort of culminated in a big celebration. So I gave out some certificates and I did a workshop for some children. So we're going to talk about some children's poetry today in part 1. And we've only got 2 news bulletins today. I struggled this week to find some worthy news bulletins, so we've only got 2 of those. And then in part 2, we're going to talk about, I've already forgotten, in part 2, why I write poetry, and expanding on that, not just why I write poetry, but why you write poetry. Why do we write poetry? So that'll be in part 2. And as always, if you haven't followed me on Instagram yet since last week, what are you doing? Go over to Instagram and follow me, Adam Gary Poetry, and then head into my stories, and there is a Q&A box, a question box. If you want to throw in some questions, I will answer those to open part 2 of the stream. So that's what we've got in store with us tonight, for you guys. No way, Trip. Danny's are pretty awesome. Totally not biased. Wait, what happened? How was your event with the kids? It was great. It was so wholesome. This is now my 3rd week, the end of the 3rd week where I haven't had a day off. So I'm pretty tired. And I was kind of like, oh, yesterday. But when I got there and I got into it, oh, it started raining. When I got there and got into it, oh, it was so wholesome. It was lovely. It was great. And yeah, I'm so glad that I got to do it. I'm so honored that they asked me to do it. Hey, my character in Far Cry 6 is called Danny. Hi everyone, I hope you're all well. Hi Del Girl, very wet day here. Yeah, it's just started raining again. As I say, September hit us and bang, here comes the rain. No way, Trip. Danny's are pretty awesome. Oh, I get it. Danny's are pretty awesome. Totally not biased. Hey Del Girl, give Adam a follow on Instagram. Thank you, Genevieve. Del Girl, hello. Hello, hello, hello. So who's been writing this week? Who's done some writing? I have been doing some writing, but it hasn't been poetry, alas, sadly. Sadly. But do you know what I did do this week, guys? What I did do? I unearthed a very old poem, and it was during COVID. I actually wrote the poem for a video, and it's a video I probably talk about the most on this channel because it's one of my favorite exercises to recommend. It's how to write poetry anywhere. And it was during a lockdown. We were allowed to go outside during the times we were allowed to go outside for 30 minutes by law. It was one of those. And I went over to Stoke Park in Guildford, UK, obviously, and wrote a poem whilst filming a video for the exercise. Again, the video is called How to Write Poetry Anywhere. The poem's called Stoke Park, and it's a park in Surrey. And so with the Surrey Poet Laureateship, we've got new volunteers, and one of them being a marketing volunteer. And one of our ideas was to try and film some of my poems. So on Friday, I went to film Stoke Park. We made a little video of Stoke Park, and you gotta love guerrilla filmmaking because again, the rain was pouring down, and it was a case of, okay, let's film a couple lines and then quick get under the trees and not get too rained on. So that was a good experience. I had an idea for a short story about anxiety and a blackboard, but no words or passion to write. That's okay. Sometimes we come up with these ideas and they just need to ferment. Is that the right word? They just need to linger in our minds until the time is right. And when the time is right, our subconscious will throw it to the front of our minds and be like, right, it's time to sit down and write this. Just thinking about it. I've been writing. Nice, Mark. Ah, you've just been thinking about writing. Hi, Mark Stevenson. Good morning. Good morning. Is it Monday or Sunday for you, Mark? I'm not sure if you're a day ahead or a day, not technically a day behind. But I'm not sure if it's Monday morning for you or Sunday morning. Just thinking about it. Morning, morning. I had an idea, just did that one. I actually did a little poem for the upcoming solar eclipse. Nice, class. That's awesome. Nope. Too many dramas this week to even think about writing. Oh, no, Danny, that's not good. I did see your short about John Cena though. Still impressed with myself for that. Yeah. I think there was some people getting confused with that. Yeah, so if you saw the John Cena short and thought, what is going on? Why is John Cena talking about Adam Gary poetry? He wasn't. It was when we do our breaking news section, I always encourage fake news headlines because I find them fun. They're just a bit of entertainment for me. Um, and then Danny put in the whole John Cena thing, and I thought it'd make a fun short, but I didn't clarify that it's fake news. John Cena has no idea who I am. Hi, Tanya. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Oh, that's nice. Hi, Ghost of a Goddess. Thank you so much for being here. Good to see you. It's a lovely day here. Thank you. Nice. Nearly wrote. You nearly wrote. Almost. Almost. I mean, one line made it out. Hey, that's writing. That's a line. That's a line. I have some incense burning just off camera because I just needed to unwind and relax. I've just had a shower. I'm burning some incense, but I'm in a tiny shed with barely any ventilation. But I'm going to do my best to fight the yawns because people say it's lack of oxygen. But I'm going to do my best not to yawn. Give me 2 seconds. He might know you. After all, you see me. This is a John Cena thing, right? I actually don't know too much about John Cena, other than he was a wrestler, or is a wrestler, was a wrestler. Maybe no burning things in a tiny shed. It's probably a sensible thing to do, but I like to live on the wild side. I like to live on the wild side. Hey, babe. What's that song? Hey, babe. Take a walk on the wild side. Something like that. But it's okay, it's not an open flame. I used to have open flames in here. I usually do have open flames. When I'm writing, Maybe that's a topic we could talk about, actually. Writing rituals. When I'm writing, I have 3 candles in front of me, and they all 3 get lit, and then I start writing. It's all about ambience, right? Ambience, ambience. Crazy, crazy. What did Trip say about crazy? Very early Monday. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for being with us on a 6 a.m. on a Monday morning. That is dedication. I appreciate you, Mark. Thank you so much. I'm not sure what Crazy Star is reference to. Are people that misspell here sent into a quiet corner? No, you're good. You're good. I misspell all the time. Don't worry about it. It's all good. It's all gravy up in here. Yo. All right, let's look at some breaking news, shall we? Get ready, less than 10 years old. I don't think I have your original comment, Trip. I can't see anything related to this. Oh, I had an idea for a short. No, that's the last thing I have on that. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on to our breaking news section. As I just said, I love reading your fake news headlines. I think they're fun. So feel free to send in some fake news headlines. When we change screen, you'll see there's a section up here somewhere. No, it's not. It's probably up here somewhere. Um, and have fun with that. It might even make it into its own short, like the John Cena one. I think on screen it may be top chat. Ah, I didn't see it until now. When I checked, I was on live chat. Ah, that's probably my bad. All right, breaking news. Breaking news. All right. So, as I say, it was a little bit difficult to find some good news stories for this stream today. So, we do only have the 2. I apologize. I apologize, but hopefully they're good ones nevertheless. So the first one I want to talk about is how poetry and birds brighten my 97-year-old mother's nursing home room. And this was written by David Lauderdale on a website called The Island Packet. And I won't read the whole article as always, because I would like you to read it in your own time. I don't want to just read the whole thing, but I will try and summarize it the best I can as I go through it. So, my mother, by all appearances, has little to treasure in life as she lies on her back, bedridden in a rural Georgia nursing home. So, I think this comes out of the United States. Yeah, there's something here, $199 welcome offer. So this comes out of the United States. It's a hard place even to visit. Someone is often moaning loudly down the hall. Her roommate, raised to speak both English and Spanish in New York City, now has spirited conversations with imaginary people. There is a clock and a calendar on the wall, but time does not seem to move in her room as she approaches her 97th birthday. Um, Mama does not want to be there, but my siblings and I feel blessed that she has a place with the constant care we could not offer. My sister and my brother visit regularly. She has stayed for months and years at a time, and her son, my nephew Peter, checks on Mama several times a day. Peter buys birdseed in 20-pound bags to keep wings of many colours fluttering right outside Mama's window. And he brings flowers from the farm where Mama lived before going to the nursing home right before Hurricane Helene hit the area last year. Some were planted by her grandparents, who never imagined what purpose they would fulfill in 2025. She also recites full poems, most of them memorized in the 6th grade, 85 years ago. That's amazing. This past week, Mama, in a low, raspy voice, recited the touching poem Little Boy Blue by Eugene Field about the death of a child. She recited a poem 4 times as long called The House with Nobody in It by Joyce Kilmer from the 1936 book The Best Loved Poems of the American People. And then she plucked an old rhyme from memory. A wise old owl lived in an oak. The more he saw, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he heard. Why can't we all be like that wise old bird? Maybe that thought was typical for Mama's generation. She had told me that in her youth, adults didn't want children to think more highly of themselves than they ought to think. They weren't to be spoiled or overly proud. Don't let anybody think you've got it made, she said. My mother never ever told me how to spell a word. She'd say, spell it out or look it up. She also recalled this couplet that all the children recited at her grammar school graduation at the Samuel M. Inman School in Atlanta. Let no one say, and say it to your shame, that all was beauty here until you came. That bit of poetry graces a placard in a public park in New York City that spurred a wonderful story in The New Yorker by Abigail Deutsch, who tried unsuccessfully to track down its author. So that just goes to show that poetry really does stay with us. If you, I do poetry workshops Monday to Friday in different libraries, and we have a number of poets, especially of the older generation. I have two 91-year-olds that come attend 2 different workshops that I do, and they reel off poems by memory as well. So it just goes to show the lasting effect of poetry. Uh, did it say 87 years ago? This lovely lady still remembers poetry from 87 years ago. Best I got today. Poet and YouTuber Adam Gary. Ah, yes, let's go. All right, let's look at, before we look at the next headline, let's go at the fake fake news. Poet and YouTuber Adam Gary fails to find a sufficient amount of news for fans during weekly live stream, which leads to an outburst of riots. Oh my goodness. Everyone just outside banging on the shed door. New Zealand is celebrating Bird of the Year awards again. Go vote, little blue penguin. Ah, Bird of the Year awards. How poetry and birds. Thank you, Genevieve. I didn't see it until now. Okay, so Danny's hit us with a fake news headline. I like it. Best I got today. No, it was good. Just have a load of poets marching up to the shed doors. All right. There's a lot of smoke in here. I wonder why. Why might that be, Adam? Okay, the next one we have from The Big Issue, written by Bronte Schiltz. Poet Rowan McCabe didn't know his neighbours, so he went door to door writing poems for them. That is epic. That is pretty cool. That's one way to get to know your community in your neighbourhood. In early 2019, Rowan McCabe quit his job facilitating an after-school club to become the world's first door-to-door poet. Nice, and sharply dressed, might I add. Rowan McCabe was raised to appreciate art. His mum was a teacher who surrounded him with books, and his stepdad was a punk with a penchant for Swan Lake who encouraged him to broaden his cultural horizons. Nice. But, like many people, poetry was not a big part of his childhood or even his early adulthood as an English student. He didn't encounter it often, and when he did, it was about country manners, deathly shrouds, serious lords, and fluffy clouds. Now, not the kind of subject matter that resonated with a boy from a rough estate. This is what I've been saying, guys. This is exactly what I've been saying. He explains all this in the introductory poem he delivers on the doorsteps of strangers around the UK. In early 2019, he quit his job facilitating an after-school club to become the world's first door-to-door poet. Not happening. Not doing it. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm referencing. Back to the article. Sparked by 2 realizations. Quote, the first thing was that I realized I didn't know any of my neighbors, he says. I just found it very strange that there was probably about 400 people all living on my street, and I'd never spoken to any of them before. And I started thinking about the fact that's not really very unusual. Then the second thing was that I'm the first person in the McCabe family to work in the arts. Nice. There's not really a precedent for that in my family. I was just mulling that over and thinking that being a poet, I will never really get to do a proper job. Oh, hang on. And thinking that being a poet will never really be a proper job. It's not like you'd ever have to do it door to door, like a door to door salesman. And somewhere in the back of my head, I just started thinking, well, what if you did? What if you had to go door to door? So I will let you read the rest of that article. There's still plenty left to read. So that seems really, really cool. And that's what that's what it takes when people say, "Oh, how can I get ahead in poetry? How can I do things in poetry?" It really is about thinking outside the box and doing things no one else is really doing, and that's really cool. Door-to-door poetry. Um, yeah, that's a really, really cool idea. So definitely please read that article. Let me just catch up on chat. I'm listening, guys. Making apple crisp. Guest coming for dinner. Very nice, Tanya. Send some our way, I hope. I think we need a little emoji for this. No, don't. I'm not going to look at that. I'm not going to look at that emoji. World's first door-to-door poet is very misleading. It used to be commonplace for storytellers and poets to travel and offer up words in favor of food and accommodation for a night. Nice. Okay, there you go. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, that I don't know for sure about that, but I take your word for it for sure. Fans of a YouTube channel await the start of their beloved favorite show at the wrong Gary Adams website. Oh goodness, I've had that my whole life. Gary Adams, yeah. To the point where I just accept my name is Gary for the day. If people start calling me Gary, I just can't be bothered anymore to correct them. I'm just like, yep, I'll be Gary Adams for today. But yeah, I really like that idea. It's pretty unique. So good stuff. Everything in life comes like a singing telegram. Yeah, exactly. There you go. A poetry telegram. That's a good idea. There you go. This is what I mean. Unique ideas is what's going to help you get um, finding your place in the world, I guess. All right, let's move on to our first topic for today then. What's wrong, Adam? Scared of a little. Why are you trying to? I'm not going to do it. I'm so determined.
Wow.
So determined to kick that habit. I'm not even going to finish that sentence. Oh, no. Mm, terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. My own mods are out to get me. All right, topic one, poetry for children. I think we've spoken briefly about this a couple times on stream, but I wanted to dedicate a whole topic to it because, as I say, when I'm planning these streams, I try and be influenced by what's actually happening in my life so that I can talk to you guys about it at length rather than try and just pluck things from anywhere. So, as I said yesterday, I did this lovely wholesome celebration thing and gave out certificates to kids for reading 6 books in the summer. Some had read 20. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. Some of the kids got an extra special achievement award for reading 20 books over the summer. That's impressive. Fair play. That puts me to shame. Um, but then after that, we did a poetry workshop, styled it encouraging them to share their feelings through poetry. So the only technique we looked at was rhyme. Even though, yes, for those of you who are against rhyme, I did tell them that not all poetry rhymes, but in that workshop, we looked at rhyme as the only technique. And then the whole workshop was based around encouraging them to write about how they feel and their emotions, whether that's happy emotions or sad emotions, because we're all human and we're allowed to feel sad. And poetry is a great way of expressing that instead of keeping it locked inside, right? And it's always been my what do you call it? theory. It's always been my the word isn't coming to me. It's always been my mantra, if you like, that kids in school should be learnt about expression through poetry before they start learning how to break down a poem and deciphering a poem and unlocking a poem. All valid stuff, but I don't think it should be the first thing we learn about. I think it should be the expression and catching the bug for poetry and seeing the fun side of poetry first, and then we can go into theory. So that's kind of my belief. Anyway, I've got an upsetting article to read that kind of just proves my point and a lot of poets in the UK's point, and a lot of people from around the world who have said that their experience of poetry in school is being pretty similar. Yes, I've heard this before. Pine needles make a great tea when camping. I stuck a few pine needles in my mouth the other day, and that chirped me right up. Nice, I think. It sounds painful, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure what pine needles would do if you put them in your mouth. I can really see why. Left a very airy, pleasant taste feeling. The way children are taught poetry ruins it for them. Yeah, that was my experience. So anyway, I've got this article which kind of confirms things. So the title is Our Latest Research Reveals Over Half of Children Missing Out on Poetry Benefits. I mean, that's just sad. And I'm really excited. Next year, I want to turn my focus to starting a children's poetry Saturday school. But anyway, let's read some of this article. Our latest research published on National Poetry Day, 3rd of October 2024, reveals that poetry can have hugely significant benefits to children's mental well-being, confidence, aptitude for learning, and their ability to develop empathy. Only one in two, 48.8% of 8 to 16-year-olds are currently consuming or creating poetry in any form. Only 1 in 2. Well, that at first glance, that sounds worse than it actually is. Meaning that over half of children and young people are missing out on these vital benefits. No, that's still bad. Yeah. So over half the children in the UK are missing out on the benefits of poetry. Yeah, that is bad, actually. We have produced free resources and poetry-based activities for teachers and families to get children and young people excited about poetry. That is cool. Well done, National Literacy Trust. Key findings from the poetry research. Our survey of almost 5,000 children and young people in England found that more than half of children and young people don't currently engage in poetry in any way. Many of those who do engage are experiencing a positive impact on their mental well-being and personal development. There is a significant decline in interest among older children, with only 1 in 6 17% young people aged 14 to 16 engaging in their free time, compared with 1 in 2 of those aged 8 to 11. Girls are also more likely to engage with poetry than boys. Children and young people who don't engage with poetry in any form identified the main reasons as finding poetry boring and feeling that poetry isn't about topics they are interested in. Poetry has hugely significant benefits for children and young people, supporting the development of their confidence, the ability to process emotions, and to understand other points of view. Great points, absolutely. All important skills to prepare children and young people to succeed in life. Many are missing out on those benefits by not engaging with poetry, as they haven't found a form or topic that appeals to them. Children's engagement with poetry, reading, watching, listening, writing, or performing peak in primary school and start to decline during secondary school, particularly falling off between 14 and 16 years of age. Okay, I won't read the full article, as I say. Hopefully we've got a link for that in the chat already. The literacy rate in America fell to 45%. I had a bunch of 4 or 5 pears and dangled it because I was bored walking, and it helped. The way children are taught. Yeah. So, Interestingly, poetry sales and poetry in general has gone up. I think we read. Did I not read a statistic last week in the news section or something? But sales have hit another record high in 2024. They did so in 20 around 2010, I think. They hit record highs, and then again they did again in 2024. So that's a good thing, but it just means that people aren't getting interested in poetry until they leave school. So why do we think that is? I think we've sort of already covered it. We've already said the main reasons, I think. And I think that study did as well, because a lot of kids, they are being given topics that just don't interest them. Uh, I'm guessing maybe the uptick is in adults, perhaps. Yeah, the girls and boys statement doesn't surprise me, as girls tend to be more in tune with their feelings and emotions. Ah, you say that, and maybe, but most of my subscribers are guys. My analytics tell me most of my viewers and subscribers are actually men by, I think, 64%. I can quickly pull that up actually and tell you. Audience 76.8% of my viewers are male. That's huge. 76.8% are male. Or allowed to be softy outwardly. Yeah, absolutely. The girls, yeah. So this is why, and it says in the study, it says, sorry, if you guys heard that. Maybe, hopefully, the mic muted that out, blocked that out. And let me get back to mod chat. Uh, cis men perhaps have more time online. I don't know about all of this. I don't know about all of this, but all I know are the facts, which are. I'll put it up again. 76.8% of my viewers are male, which is interesting. What was I saying? And I do feel like in some places that societal expectation is shifting and also getting pushed back. I do feel like in some places that societal expectation is shifting and also getting pushed back. Potentially. Yeah, probably. But anyway, poetry for kids. Yeah, poetry for kids. They're not being given topics that they care about, so they aren't interested. And can you imagine, as I say, poetry in general, poetry out of school is the sales are going up, popularity is going up. Yes, as Genevieve said, I think probably by adults, definitely by adults. But can you imagine if all those people that are now getting into poetry were excited and caught the bug for poetry in school? And maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe ultimately it doesn't matter. Ultimately, maybe you find poetry when you're supposed to find poetry. I hope that doesn't sound too like mystical, but I am a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. Things happen at the time they're supposed to happen. So maybe you're not supposed to find poetry until you're ready to find poetry. But I also feel like if we weren't so, dare I say stubborn? I don't know. Should I say stubborn? If we weren't so stubborn with curriculum that kids have to learn about poets from the past, kids have to learn and dissect poems that are already written, rather than, and that's my experience. I'm 33. I haven't been in school for a very long time. Maybe they have changed it, but I can only speak of my experience and what I think is still the norm in school. Rather than being taught other people's poetry and how to understand other people's poetry, and I do this because I always say in my workshops, when I do them in the mornings, we do an hour reading, an hour writing, and I always say there are no right or wrong answers. If we're reading a poem and I feel that maybe you're in a different field, I might gently steer you back round to another way of thinking, gently. But for the most part, if you tell me this poem means this to me because, and I see it, then that's completely valid. That's what it means to you, and there's no one in this world, in my opinion, that can tell you that's not what that means, except perhaps except perhaps the poet themselves. But even then, I would say no, because there's a common saying in art, no matter which discipline you're in, once you put your film out, once you put your book out, once you put your poem out, once you put your painting out, it no longer belongs to you. It's not your poem anymore. It's everyone else's. It's whoever's reading it, and whatever they interpret from that, that's their interpretation. When I had my first Instagram account and it was much bigger, it was like I used to get a lot of DMs through that, and people would say, "Oh, I love this poem so much because it connected to this for this reason," and I'd be like, it was the best feeling because I'd be like, that is not at all why I wrote that piece. But I would never turn around and say that to anyone. I'd just be, thank you so much for reading it. I'm really glad that it resonated with you. I'd never say that's not what it's about. So that's my opinion on poetry analysis anyway. Going back to putting that in front of kids and then telling them, no, that's not what it's about. I'll always remember that in school. So the one poetry class that I went to, the first poetry class I turned up to before skipping the rest, the teacher would say, "So what do we think the poet means by this?" And I'd say, "I think it means this." And it was just like, "No, no." And then you feel embarrassed for sort of expressing the way you felt about that particular line or that particular piece. So all of that is to say, I think with kids, rather than teaching them or giving them poems on topics that they're not interested about, it should be about writing poetry. And I did a workshop yesterday, and I think probably the eldest person that was in that workshop, maybe at a push, was 12. And I had poets that I reckon were as young as probably 5. And they all wrote poems about how they were feeling and what made them sad in the week. We had some writing what made them sad in the week. We had some writing about what makes them happy, some about being excited about the day that they were experiencing with the certificates and stuff. So they can do it. You can write a poem about how you're feeling at 5 years old. And I think that's what we have to engage the kids with. Sorry, I just completely rambled because I am quite passionate about this. Let me catch up on the chat. School doesn't care about poetry. Yeah. I don't know about other countries, but in this country, you have your English teacher in secondary school. You have your English teacher. But just because they're an English teacher, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have a passion for poetry. They might have a passion for fiction. They might have a passion, they might not even have a passion for creative writing. Maybe it's non-fiction they have a passion for. But it's one teacher for all sort of branches of English. So if you get a teacher that doesn't really want to teach poetry or doesn't really care either way, even, uh, then it's going to be difficult to get children interested. If you're lucky, and some people are, you get a teacher who's passionate about poetry and loves to teach it, and so it makes it more exciting. History had that poem about standing up and the hill poem. When you start with writing, your interest in reading others who have written increases. Yeah, exactly. When you start writing and you catch the bug and you enjoy it, I think naturally you start developing an interest in what other people might be saying with poetry. I'm also now trying to remember if we watched Dead Poets Society in my English class. We didn't. I didn't discover that until I was in college for performing arts, funnily enough. And there are lots of Dr. Seuss, and I feel like Shel Silverstein was a popular topic as a kid too. Yes. But again, again, they're more appropriate, and they probably are what's being taught, to be fair. I think I read Dr. Seuss in school. I still don't think the jumping off point into the pool of poetry should be reading other people's poetry. I think it should be getting the joys of writing it yourself. That's just my personal opinion. You did Lear? Wait, I thought you meant you did Lear, Genevieve. I feel like when I was a kid, we did Lear, as in Shakespeare. We did learn about haiku. Nice. Yeah, lyrics can be a fun way in. I remember learning about stanza and what a haiku is. I think I was 10. Nice. We never learnt about haiku in school, or maybe we did. Actually, maybe we did. We did have a poetry lesson for a bit, though, that resulted in our class writing a poetry collection together. That's cool. I'm trying to remember how I learned about poetry as a kid. I definitely remember high school, which was heavily Shakespeare, to learn iambic pentameter. Yep. And some analysis of what poems meant. Yeah. Generally in college, kids are more open to uniqueness. So kids are socially allowed to be in poetry. Teachers should start with the songs that are popular with their class. That's interesting. Yeah. Learning music is poetry. Learning music is poetry opens a wider door for teens to accept other forms. Yeah. Adults wish to expose children to classic poetry and therefore steered towards what society demands. High schools don't really teach anything about poetry, at least not in the UK, unless that's changed now in the last 10 years. I mean, in an expressive way, by the way, but also the high school kids not engaging in poetry is due to peer pressures. Yeah, this is also true. And labels around education and poetry on a whole being. Yeah, this is true. This is true. And I don't know. As I say, it's been a long time since I've been in school. Maybe they are teaching um more contemporary stuff. I've missed quite a bit in chat. He's catching up in reverse. Yeah, as soon as I sent it, he started. My bad. Yeah. I went on a rant. I apologize. It's something that I'm passionate about. And it's not always the teacher's fault either. We have to remember it's not always the teacher's fault either. At least here in the UK, they get given a syllabus. They get given a mandatory syllabus of things they have to teach during a school year. So a teacher's fault. Again, if you've got a teacher who's genuinely passionate about poetry, that will always come across and that will always help. But if you've got a teacher who is 50-50 on poetry or even doesn't really like it themselves, but they have to teach what they are told to teach, um, it's tough. It's tough. I'm not sure who's in charge of. I guess there's an education minister somewhere, somewhere in an office in London who dictates what side of poetry is taught. Uh, I was definitely taught haiku in the younger grades and writing depressing poetry around 13 to 14 for myself. Hopefully that was a good way of getting those emotions out of you though, class. Yeah, as soon as I sent he started. I'm scared to look at Danny's messages because I know she's out to sabotage me, especially when they have emojis. I'm scared to look. By the way, if you haven't hit that like button yet, even if you're watching playback, I hope you're enjoying the stream so far. Please do hit that like button. I'd really, really appreciate it. It's completely free, but it does genuinely help the channel. My English teacher had a massive crush on Harrison Ford and loved Shakespeare. Decent role model, I reckon. Nice, yeah. I remember one thing that confuses me now, and maybe after all these years, someone might be able to inform me or enlighten me, should I say. I remember in English class, yes, English class, we were learning about movies, and we were learning. I mean, it was great for me because I had a vested interest. I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be an actor since I was 12. I went into secondary school knowing exactly what I wanted to pursue. So it was fine for me, but I do even now wonder why film was being taught in an English class. And I don't just mean the storytelling of film. We were learning about close-up shots, wide shots, mid shots, super wide shots, like literally learning about framing. And I don't know why we were learning about that in an English class. It seems odd. I mean, again, I'm not complaining by any means, but it seems like it was the wrong class. That should have been in like film studies or media. We had a media class if you chose it. I don't know what it's like in other countries, but when you get to the last 2 years of secondary school in the UK, so year 10 and year 11, you have options. You have to still do the mandatory topics of maths, science, English. I think those were the only three. Nope, not happening. Math, science, English, and IT. I think they were the only four mandatory topics. All the other topics you could choose from. And media studies was one of them. Did the same teacher teach it? Your English teacher was a film major before becoming a teacher. Very, very possibly. Yeah, maybe your English teacher had an affinity to filmmaking. Quite possibly, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This wasn't the same English teacher that taught us uh poetry, by the way. We had two English teachers. English lit and English language, maybe. I don't think that was ever explained. We just had two English classes. One with one teacher and one with another. Also, slightly offended I would never do such a thing to sub. Wow. Can you believe it, guys? I'm being sabotaged by my own moderators. I'm not going to yawn. You won't get me to do it. By the way, if you haven't already, we are about to take a 5-minute break. Do head over to my Instagram, Adam Gary Poetry, jump into the stories, and there is a question box. Let me see. I don't know if we have any. There's a question box for some Q&As in part 2. Let's see. We don't have a single question. Guys are leaving me in the cold right now. We don't have a single question. So please do head to Instagram, Adam Gary Poetry, jump into the stories, tap along. And the last one, you'll see a question box. If you want to ask me some questions on stream, I will answer them to open up part 2. I'm being nice. Moderator, singular, I'm being nice. Well, for now, you're being nice. I'm glad I have a waterproof phone so you guys don't short out. Joining me in the now you're all sabotaging me. Now you're all doing it. No, Genevieve, we're a team and there's nearly. I didn't open my mouth, so it doesn't count. Fine. I'm just gonna read that again, but scroll up so that emoji's not there. I'm I'm glad I have a waterproof phone so you guys don't short out joining me in the shower. Well, thank you so much. You guys are crazy. Danny! No, Genevieve. Dragging me down with you. Oh no. Oh no. Doesn't count. They don't count. They only count if I open my mouth. Alright. So in part 2, we're going to look at why I write poetry. But not just me, even though that's what the title says, why I write poetry. I want to know why you write poetry as well. So that's what we're going to have in part 2. Also, if we do get some questions coming in, we'll start out with a Q&A for that. I loved my college English professor. Hang on. I loved my college English professor. My high school English teacher was not as animated. I think maybe, I mean, it's not an easy job teaching teenagers, I'm sure. I wouldn't do it. I would never do it. I would not teach a secondary school class or a high school class. I just don't know. I think it would destroy me. I think it would destroy me. My, I just caught Danny's message again. You guys are terrible. You guys are so bad. You just want to see me burn. You just want to see me crumble. Um, I feel when I was in secondary school, we had a form tutor. I don't know if that's a usual thing. Essentially, we had what was called a form room, and every morning we would all go into the form room to do our registration and say good morning. And our form tutor, I guess, was sort of our guardian throughout our journey in secondary school. We'd have the same form tutor from year 7 right up to year 11. And the kids were so horrible to her. I think she ended up having a mild stroke or something. And I really liked her. Obviously, I was a good boy in school. I really liked her, and I felt sorry for her even then. But now that I'm obviously an adult and stuff, and I think back, I feel even more sorry for her. The kids were cruel to her. Unfortunately, I'd never be a secondary school teacher. Eat the. I'm not reading these words, guys. I'm not going to say them out loud. I'm not going to say it because then it's going to. You've already got me going. There you go. All right, we've got one. We've got one. That counts. That yum yum. I'm building an empire here. You guys are mean. You guys are meanies. Gary girls are meanies. They're running riot. Now my coffee's gone cold. I've been talking so much this stream, I've allowed my coffee to go cold. Dang it. Beaten by my own viewers. You've won this battle, but you haven't won the war. The yawns will stop. All right, on that note, let's take a 5-minute break. Let's grab a coffee, go for a loo break, do whatever you need to do. No, you're all right, Trip. It's all in good fun, Danny. It's so bad. Let's take a 5-minute break, top up on our coffee, do whatever we got to do, and when we come back, hopefully we'll have some questions in on Instagram to do a Q&A. If not, we'll jump straight into our topic. Why do we write poetry? And I want to know why you write poetry, and I'll tell you why I write poetry. So, see you in 5. All right, welcome back. Welcome back, Gary Girls. Firstly, nice. You're a legend. Thank you so much, Genevieve, for the super chat. I really, really appreciate it. Funds and finances are a little scary at the moment. So, super chats and channel memberships are a bit of a lifeline right now. So, thank you so much, Genevieve, for that generous super chat. With that being said, I need to call Genevieve out a little bit. She's acting. What did she say? Hang on. What did she? I saw it just before I went to go and top up my coffee. The last thing Genevieve said, literally, the last thing Genevieve says, yeah, class, we are over here being nice. Well, I'm not going to let Genevieve get away with it. I now have, because we have mod chat, we have a moderators chat, I now have a GIF. I now have a GIF of a yawning sloth right next to me that is probably going to sit here off camera for the rest of the stream. So, Genevieve, pretending to be all nice. You're just as bad. You're part of the revolution. But no, thank you so much, Genevieve. I really appreciate it. If you're back from the break, let me know that you're back from the break. Send me a thumbs up emoji in the chat or the emoji of me running with a mug of coffee, just to let me know that you're back so that we can get started. I don't think we have any questions come in this week for the Q&A, so we will probably skip that. Oh, we have one question. We do have one question. Oh, it's a suggestion more than a question by the looks of it. We should have a sign in the background. X number of streams since last yawn. That's actually a really cool idea. Hi, Mark. Hi, Mark. Hi, Danny. Hi, Mark Stevenson. That's actually a really good idea, like a yawn counter. I like that idea. Hi, Tanya. Um, yeah, maybe we can set something up like that. I know my screen is already quite busy, ADHD, but maybe we will do that. Maybe somewhere up here or somewhere down here. It's mirrored. Hi, Trip. Welcome back. Down here, have like a yawn counter since last yawn. I've just had a mint, so hopefully that's woken me up. I've got lots of coffee, so no more yawns. All right, so we don't have any questions for this part. Being nice again. Oh, Genevieve's being nice and bumping the gif of the sloth back. Thanks, Genevieve. Let me just throw some laugh emojis into the mod chat. All right, cool. So this part two, we're going to talk about why we write poetry, but we won't get started just yet. We'll give people some time to get back from the break. I know we've already got quite a few back. What did everyone do during the break? Did anyone go and grab a refreshment? If you did, what have you got right now? I've got a rather large mug of black coffee. Hi, listening in the background. You can't cover Ziggy, etc. Maybe top left. Ah, yes. Yeah. So up here, yeah, we got Ziggy. If you don't know who Ziggy is, that's Ziggy down here. It was a gift from one of my viewers and friends. You can go back 3 streams, I think it was, where we did an unboxing stream. Science did cure the hiccup. Maybe next year they can cure the yawn. Did they cure the hiccup? Is there a science behind how to cure hiccups? Wasn't it to get scared? Or to hold your nose and blow? Is that the cure? That's what I was always told. But yeah, what did you grab during the what are you drinking? What did you grab during the break, if anything? I'm drinking a homemade chocolate ice blended right now. Nice. That sounds really nice. Ah, top right then, with the typewriter poster. Up here? Yes. Yeah, that might be a good one. That might be a good one. I should probably I just realized this is actually kind of a random place to have this. I should probably have this up here, right? That would make more sense. Or not. What do you guys think? Do you prefer where it was? And then we can maybe have the... Again, my whole screen is just going to be filled with different graphics. We can maybe have the thing here. Actually, I kind of like this. Oh, I'm messing everything up now, guys. I don't know what I'm doing. I kind of like that there. Yes, they developed a breathing four-step process to get rid of hiccups. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm gonna have to look that up. Ginger ale, nice. Drink it down without breathing. Okay. You mean this? Or just when you've got when you got the hiccups? I don't, yeah. I was just watching my own little screen preview, and there's Shakespeare, Shakespeare, and Shakespeare. Some might say obsessed, and Shakespeare. I've got a statue of Shakespeare on my desk. I've got a pop socket of Shakespeare. My phone wallpaper is freaking Shakespeare. I think I need to calm down a little bit, guys. I just realized. Oh my god, Trip, that would be a lifesaver. I get such painful hiccups. Oh no, that's not good. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into this. You know, oh yeah, it was class last week as well. Just talking about all the Shakespeare stuff. I think I've already told you guys that people have been saying I'm getting Shakespeare's hairline, and they're not wrong. They're not wrong. And I think Class said it last week as well. Painful hiccups sound like a nightmare. I hope it works for you. Yeah. Hiccups are just annoying. Am I right? All right. So we have Genevieve has left us because she has another engagement. So I wondered, Danny, if you wouldn't mind just sharing the last link for us, article link for us. We're going to get into topic two. We're going to get into part two now. So why do I have my channel in a tab? That's weird. Okay, so there is a um article here, Why I Write Poetry by Robert Lee Brewer on Writer's Digest. Recently, I got to thinking about the types of answers I like to hear. Hang on, let me unlock mod chat. Recently, I got to thinking about the types of answers I like to hear in poet interviews. And one that I always love is along the lines of why I. Oh, I thought that was a subheading. It's just the start of the opening paragraph. I nearly said stanza then. Poetry obsessed. Paragraph. As a result, why I write poetry. As a result, I thought it would be cool to start up a guest post series on just that topic. So if you'd like to share why you write poetry, please send an email to the email address in the article with a 300 to 500 word personal essay like the one below that shares why you write poetry. Interesting. This was back in 2017 though, so I don't know if this is still happening. Why I Write Poetry by Robert Lee Brewer. Okay, so I think I've shared several times on here it's written very conversationally, by the way. So it might sound like I'm talking, Adam Gary's talking, but it's written in the first person and, as I say, in a very conversational way. So, um, I'll try and let you know when it's me talking and when it's the article talking. So the article says, okay, so I think I've shared several times on here over the years that I started writing poetry in my teens to impress a girl. End of article. Adam Gary now talking. This is gonna get complicated. Yes, to impress a girl. Funnily enough, the first time I wrote a poem was to was as a gift from my first girlfriend in college as well. So there you go. The opposite sex ever the muse. Back into the article. She thought the one poem meant that I wrote other poems, so I started writing more. And long story short, that relationship ended, but the poetry has stayed with me forever. I feel you, Robert Lee Brewer. I feel you. It would be easy to conclude then that I write poetry to woo potential girlfriends, right? Well, yeah, I have written more than a few poems to would-be Juliets over the years, but I write poetry for more than courtship. In many ways, poetry has served as a sort of self-therapy, helping me deal with emotions related to divorce, work, anxiety, uh, essay, so I'm not going to read that out. So, trigger warning, I didn't know that was in there, but just to let you know, in many ways and on many occasions, poetry has helped me keep my sanity and learn more about myself and the people around me. You know, pretty deep stuff. Absolutely. And then I'll just read the last paragraph here. So, I could say that I write poetry to communicate, and I suppose to persuade, and that would be a true statement. But maybe the better, simpler reason is this: I write poetry because it's always done me good, more good than bad, and I can't imagine my life without it. Nice. All right, let me just jump in chat real quick. Have fun, Tanya. All the best. Is Tanya leaving us? Must go, friends. My company has arrived. My company have arrived. Until later. All the best, Tanya. Thank you so much for being here. Nah. That's mean. Poetry to me is meditation. Thank you, class, for sharing. Poetry to me is meditation. Writing poetry allows me to understand the beautiful chaos of this world and myself within it. That is beautifully put. Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree. I think the world needs more meditation. I always I always wanted to write, working on novels and kids' books too. Depression, lack of self-respect, etc. stood in the way. Now navigating 3 months in on ADHD meds, now navigating. But words aid life. Nice. Yeah, I like that. Words aid life. That is very poetically put. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing, Mark. Why do I write poetry? You all know how I got into poetry, but why do I write poetry? I think, for a long time, how deep am I going to get here? How deep do I want to get online, on stream? For a long time, and it might not even be a solved issue. For a long time, I didn't know where my place in the world was. I thought it was on stage, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed acting, but when I write poetry, there was there was this real physical electricity that pulsed through me when I wrote that first poem for my girlfriend all the way back when I was 18 years old. And I guess for the first time in my life, it was the only time I knew I was exactly where I was supposed to be. I was doing exactly what I needed to be doing. And when I'm doing poetry stuff, it's the only time I am completely comfortable in doing what I'm doing and being Adam Gary doing it, if that makes sense. With acting and in every other aspect of my life, even today, I have imposter syndrome and I feel like I'm doing things I shouldn't be doing. Um, and yeah, imposter syndrome, not being good enough and not being the person that should be doing whatever it is that you're doing, if that makes sense. It's a big thing. But poetry is the only thing I can do and not feel that and just feel 100% confident, 100% comfortable, and just feel like I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's a big part of it, right? For the longest time now, from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, it's poetry. And that's not an exaggeration. I think you guys can probably tell that about me. My whole life is dedicated to poetry. I'm probably even dreaming about poetry. If I was someone who could remember their dreams, I'm probably even freaking dreaming about poetry. I am obsessed, passionate slash obsessed. I love it so much. And I'm still just, hopefully, you guys can tell, I'm still just as passionate as I was when I first discovered poetry. I feel like it is my true calling. So that's one reason why I write poetry. Uh, why else do I write poetry? To share my feelings, strong feelings, right? Whether they're happy feelings or sad feelings, it's still a great way for me to release those feelings uh, and get them onto page. And whether I like it or not, it doesn't really matter a lot of the time. A lot of the time when I'm writing poetry, it's literally just to get things off my chest and then I can move on from them, right? Sometimes I really like what comes out and I preserve them and maybe they get published. Sometimes they are just absolute rants or absolute streams of consciousness just to release the emotions. So that's another reason why I write poetry. Why else do I write poetry? To hopefully connect with other people as well. I've never written poetry with the intention to connect with someone. I've never sat down to write a poem and thought, actually, I have once. There's one poem in my entire body of work where I actually sat down to write it to hopefully connect with other people. But for the most part, it's selfish. I write it for me. I write the poems for me, and then if I like them, they get shared. But I've never actively sat down with that intention. But the reason I share it is hopefully to connect with other people. And as I said in part one, I used to get so many messages on Instagram saying, "Hey, I read your poem and this is connected to me for so and so reason." And it doesn't matter whether that is exactly why I wrote that poem. It doesn't matter because it touched that person and that's a great feeling. Adam, we need you to do what you do because if you weren't doing it, then no one else would be doing it. Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But as I say, I wake up and I think about poetry and I go to bed and I think about poetry. But there are other poets doing some really good stuff in the world as well, for sure. For sure. Also, why else do I write poetry? Because it's fun. I get a lot of fun out of it. I get so much joy and such a buzz out of it. Even if I'm writing a poem from a really dark place, which isn't fun, granted, being in that dark place, writing the poem about that feeling and writing the poem that is attached to that and expressing that, even then, I don't know if that's weird. I find it fun. I get a buzz out of doing that. When I'm writing poetry, when I'm writing, even though I'm not writing enough at the moment because I'm so busy doing other like logistical things, whenever I'm writing, it's like a high. It's like a high. It's a buzz. I wrote a poem for a woman 36 years older than myself who I felt was a true soulmate and read it to her. It's gone. And read it. My chat is messing up again. And read it to her for her birthday a few years ago. Nice. I love that, Mark. I hope it was well received. Speaking of connecting, that gives me an idea. Ending the stream with a prompt. Everyone could then write a poem over the week, limited to the character count of these text boxes. I like that, Mark. Yeah, Danny, can we maybe make a note of that in the stream card? That's something we can adopt for sure. Because we were doing prompt challenges. Unfortunately, as I said, I haven't officially announced it because I'm really gutted. I'm really heartbroken about it. I haven't officially announced it, but unfortunately, due to my own personal finances, and my own personal limits at the moment, the Cove has kind of been temporarily paused, sadly. And it sucks to say that. I hate saying that. I hate admitting defeat. Um, we were doing a prompt challenge and the winner would get a free subscription to the Cove, but for now the Cove has hopefully temporarily um ceased. But hopefully a time will come when I'll have some more money and I can regenerate the Cove for now. But actually, Mark, I really like that idea. So let's adopt that. Hopefully Danny has put that in the chat, in the card, in the stream card. Well, we're all here connected together because you are facilitating the space, but you are all also opening up to that space and being part of that space and connecting with each other. There would be no stream if it was just me sitting here talking to myself. It would be a very quick stream probably. You guys make these streams as much as anything. So thank you for being here and getting involved and sharing your thoughts and opinions and being respectful to each other. I do love this little I do love this channel and I do love this little community. I like that idea. Yeah, me too. Adam, Adam, is a Poetry Cove is Poetry Cove still up? I tried looking the other day and it wouldn't come up. So you can still access it. You can still access it if you want, but it's not the poetrycove.com anymore. It's something like wixsite.com/Adam Gary/Poetry Cove, something like that. If you want the link, because I know that we still have lots of Poco Chatmo stuff on there. We have lots of GlopoRimo stuff on there. If you want to go back and read that, I can give you the link. Either DM me on Instagram. In fact, hold on. Let me see if I can get it for you now. I take back my question. It's temporary. We don't need rewards to write other than engagement. Yeah, exactly. Other than it's fun to do and share with each other. So we'll definitely do that. I'll think of a prompt for the end of this stream and then we can share them all next week. I don't know if Wix is going to play ball. Oh, it is. Okay, so bear with me. View live site. There we go. Oh, it's not as long of a URL than I thought. So if you still want to, did it link? Yeah, if you still want to go back and look at our GlopoRimo threads and just reminisce and enjoy the good times, that's the link. You can still access it. But yeah, unfortunately, it came up to renewing the domain and stuff like that, which is £240, and finances aren't the best right now, guys. But we'll get back to it one day soon, hopefully. Okay, does anyone else want to share maybe why they write poetry or how they got into poetry, what poetry does for them? I'm just going to scroll up and make sure I didn't miss anything. I wrote a poem for a woman. Yep, we got that one. Okay, so we're all caught up, I think. Have you heard from Herb, Adam? I haven't. I think Herb was at our last live stream, though. I think he was at our last live stream, if I remember correctly, but I haven't seen him tonight. I haven't seen him here for tonight. That didn't make sense. You guys are getting used to my terrible ways of speaking. I don't know what happens. Sometimes I'm just talking and my words come out the wrong way. Don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just crazy. But if you haven't already, please do hit that like button. And if you're watching playback, feel free to leave a comment down below on what poetry means to you, why you started writing poetry, um, and and yeah, why you still write poetry, why you started, why you still write, hopefully, if you do. And yeah, just let me know in the comments down below. Oh my goodness, Danny, I just read your chat in the mod chat. That doesn't sound like fun. We're also very close to 9,000 subscribers. Thank you so much if you're hitting subscribe. I really appreciate it. I don't think, I think it's safe to say we're probably not going to hit 10,000 by the end of the year, but maybe in January. By January, maybe we will. I'm finding I'm writing these long narratives that go very deep and cause me to dig to China to figure out where I'm going. Sometimes it's good to just explore. Sometimes it's good to just dig and see where we go, see where we end up. Sometimes it's good to just walk down a path. I do it all the time, just walk down paths and well, don't do as I do because I get lost in woods all the time. I'm always getting lost in woods because I'm following a path, right? I'm following a path and then I'll look around and there's like a path. It sounds, I promise you, I'm not referencing Robert Frost. Nope, I'm not impressed, but yeah, you're not impressed. Oh, from your message. Yeah, I'm not referencing Robert Frost here, but I'm walking in the woods, I'm walking in a forest, whatever, down a path, and then I'll look, and it will look like maybe a dog or some wildlife or whatever. It's started to create a path that way, and I think, well, I'll go that way. So I just veer off randomly, and I like doing that. I like changing course randomly and seeing what's to discover. I feel like if I just keep following main paths, I'm just going to see what everyone else sees. And that's boring to me. I want to see new things. I want to see exciting things. I want to discover the undiscovered, if you like. But as I say, I always end up getting lost, so it's not good. Don't do as I do, do as I say. Well, that sounds dirty anyway. Not dirty. Hang on, hang on, hang on. Slow down, take a step back. That sounds gross. Do as I say. No. You know what point I'm trying to make. Don't take bad advice from Adam Gary Poetry. I put the suggestion on the sheet, by the way. Thank you. I was getting distracted. No, you're good. You're good. I like the self-expression of poetry. There's a thrill in imbuing my emotions into something that people can read. Oh, I love that. Let me read that again. I like the self-expression of poetry. There's a thrill in imbuing my emotions into something people can read. I love that. Thank you, Ghost of a Goddess. Poetry can express some things much better than prose can. 100%. I'm 100% with you on that one. Do you cycle? A bicycle is great for exploring. I can cycle. Do I cycle? No. I have a bike. I bought a bike during COVID and now I never ride it really. It catches just catches rust, collects rust. I love walking. I love walking. It's a big passion of mine. I made a promise to myself as a kid that even when I can drive, if I can physically walk somewhere, no matter how long it takes, if I can physically walk somewhere, then I'll always choose walking over driving. And I still keep that promise to myself. And I just enjoy it. Like I really do. I love just getting out and walking and taking it all in. As poets, as artists, you know, we should develop the ability to be able to observe and really see the microscopic details of things and see things that others wouldn't usually. It's a good skill to develop as an artist and a poet. I don't do it enough anymore. I used to. I used to. When I had more time on my hands, I'd just go for walks and just spend ages just looking at a leaf. I know that sounds so weird, and I don't blame you for thinking that that sounds weird. Like, all right then, mate. Especially if you're walking past me and I'm just there looking at leaves. But I used to love just staring at leaves and kind of looking at all the different patterns on leaves, and especially if there was an ant crawling over it doing its little thing, and then I'd just spend ages kind of making up a story about the ant on an adventure. Watch my subscriber count just drop down now. What an absolute freak. Same, I love walking. Isn't it amazing? I no longer have a car or a license, so I walk. It's great. It's great. I love walking. I love it so much. That's why a lot of my membership vlogs are of me walking, because I just love going out and walking. And taking Harry as well. Harry's always good company. Throwing a ball. Thank you so much to whoever just hit that like button. I really appreciate that. Hi all, just popping in quick. Hello, Mitchell Malone. Mitchell is the one that suggested our new purple scheme for this series. This season. I don't know. Every now and then I change the color of our conversing. We've had red, blue, and now purple. So the purple is dedicated to Mitchell Malone because it's his favorite color. There is a form of meditation. I'm not going to say that just in case I get demonetized. Meditation, I don't think I would, but you never know. YouTube has its own rules. Hang on, meditation, I've lost it, where you take a step, contemplate what changed in the world, take another step and do it again, and so forth. Takes a day to explore the garden. Nice. I mean, I think you can do that with your clothes on, to be fair. That's known as walking meditation. I'm actually, in college, I really got into Buddhism. And if you've seen photos, I have a big Buddha on my Siddhartha on my wall. I've also got this. This was the first ever um, follower gift. I don't like the word fan. I don't see myself as someone with fans, but my first follower gift is hand painted and sent to me from Mumbai, all the way from Mumbai. But yeah, I got into Buddhism a lot and meditation. And I used to do this thing called meta meditation, META meditation. I used to do it every single day, 3 times a day. And I'm telling you, I have never been happier in my life. I hate that I broke that habit, and I wish I had time, or I wish I had the discipline to carve out the time again. I'm gonna hold myself to account here. I wish I had the discipline to carve out more time to do more meta meditation. But walking meditation is also very, very good. We don't think you're weird, Adam. Thank you. We're a bunch of weirdos, so we cancel each other out. Why do you think leaves always end up in poems? This is true. This is true. Purple! Fight week this week. Yes, you got your fight coming up, Mitch. Is it at the same place? Buddhist. Yes, the purple is such a great colour for this turnaround. Nice. I'm glad you like it. Thanks, goddess. Yes, Buddhist. Um, but I think we could all do with a bit more meditation. I think meditation should be made mandatory. Metta is the loving kindness meditation, right? Yeah, sorry, is it double T? Is it double T? Where you wish good for people, yeah. So you wish good for yourself. You start off wishing good for yourself. Then you wish good for people you love. Then you wish good for people you like. Then you wish good for people that you're indifferent to. You know, it's you neither love them nor hate them. And then you wish good to people that you don't like and who may have wronged you, and you send them well wishes and you forgive them and stuff. And then what you can do if you really want to go into it, which is what I used to do, once you've done that, then you can start going, I wish happiness to uh, just everyone in the world in general. Then you wish happiness to all the animals in the world. And then you wish happiness. No, I think that's it. To all, just all beings in the world. And yeah, as I say, when I was doing that 3 times a day, man, I don't mean to keep sounding so corny tonight in these streams, but when I was doing that 3 times a day, honestly, it was like I was gliding. I was so happy. I was like floating through life. In Isha Theatre. Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. As same one as oh no, wasn't it? It was Epsom Theatre, was it? No, I'm confused now. Because I know there was one that got cancelled. Was that in Epsom Theatre or Isha? But yeah, maybe I would recommend to everyone if you can find the time and develop the discipline, look up metta meditation. I should really get back into it. I should really do more of it. You sound corny. Never. I don't know if that's sarcasm. Wait. I can't tell. It's the never that sounds sarcastic. You sound corny. Never. I don't know. Nah, that was Isha still. Oh, okay, cool. Hopefully they've got their license this time then. I completely off topic, completely random. But I've been walking past a lot of skate parks lately. Skateboarding parks. I know we've spoken about skater days a lot. And the plan was if we hit 10,000 subs by the end of the year, I'd go skateboarding again and probably break a leg or something. But they seem to be cropping up in life, and again, I believe things work in ways that we can't tell, and it's maybe it's a sign that I need to get back to skating. I got my beanie back on again today because it's getting cooler, it's chillier. Yeah, well, I'd rather not. What, skate? Gonna clean up and get ready to leave work. Speak to you all next week. Enjoy the rest of your shift, Mitchell. Thanks for popping in. Good to see you. Cheers, Mitch. See you soon, Mitchy. Oh, congratulations on 7 years. Last week we congratulated you for almost hitting 7 years, but now you officially have. So congratulations, Danny and Mitch, for being together for 7 years. We had a few parks built here. Council said it was a drive to get youth off devices. Nice. Is it working? No, the fighting and licensing. Oh, what? I'm really pumped to do. I'm really excited to get a Saturday school for kids, poetry Saturday school for kids running next year. Right now, it's really sort of. I don't know if you guys ever feel it like when you want to do something, when you have an idea for a project or a poem maybe, and it's not quite the right time to actually do it, but you can feel it sort of bubbling and just I don't know. I don't know what the word is. I'm not going to say fermenting again. It's just sort of simmering inside you, and you just want to go and do it. Rather not with the fighting. Is that even coffee in that mug? Not anymore because I finished it. Sorry, there's just lots of different conversations happening at once, so I'm just trying to have three different conversations at once. Rather not with the fighting. You'd rather I don't know what I said for you to say rather not. Did I? Oh, you'd rather it not be an Isha theatre, or you just rather it not be happening altogether? Down, 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 down. Oh, we got a new follower on Instagram. Oh, hello, Ghost of a Goddess. And Sally. Hello, Sally. Percolating. Thank you, class. Thank you. Can always count on you guys. Simmering. All together. Last ever fight. Thank God. Game over. Percolating is a metaphor that should be used more often. There you go. There's the challenge. Oh, okay, so we need a prompt. What was the idea again? So I give you a prompt. Hang on, let me go into the stream card. Idea, ending the stream with a prompt so everyone can write during the week, ready to share at the next stream. I'm gonna need, excuse me, I'm gonna need that. Can we, I guess we got, sorry guys, you're wondering what I'm saying and talking to myself. I'm just thinking out loud whilst in our stream card that we use to plan streams in. So we've still got a section here, poetry prompt challenge. So I guess we can just use that now for this. All right. So my prompt to end this stream, we're gonna say goodnight now. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here on a Sunday/Monday morning, especially at 6 a.m. My goodness, that's dedication. Thanks, Mark. I do genuinely really appreciate that. So thank you so much for being here. If you're watching playback, don't be shy. Leave a comment down below about the things that we've discussed in this stream. Do hit that like button again. I really, really appreciate it. If you have poetry friends, share the channel with them as well. Let's see if we can try and hit 10,000 by January, I think. December might be too soon. I love this. I actually said a prayer to myself that I wanted a prompt in order for me to write a poem. There you go. We are here, and I'm going to give you a prompt. So, the prompt for you to go away and write a poem for next stream to share it on the next stream. And I think YouTube only allow 200 characters. So it has to be 200 characters. And the chat box does not allow for line break. So if you want to demonstrate a line break, what I usually suggest is a forward slash. Otherwise, if you hit enter, well, actually, I've never tried copy and pasting something into the chat box with line breaks. So there's potential, but maybe not. Anyway, so the prompt off the top of my head for next week is going to be I don't know if I've used this as a prompt already. I went a wandering. I went a wandering. And I won't stop the stream just yet, just in case anyone has. Oh, my YouTube's just crashed. Great. Let me just reload. I'm sure I'm still live. Oh, I'm back in. All right. I'll hang around for a second just to see if anyone has questions about that prompt. But I went a wandering is your prompt for next week. I went a wandering. Otherwise, if there aren't any questions, once again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I really enjoy these streams. It's good to be back after a month off. You might be wondering what's happening with Right Along. I'll be honest with you. I am genuinely super, super busy. As I say, this is now the third week without a day off. So don't think we'll have a write-along this month. And then what Genevieve suggested is next month, rather than doing a conversing, we'll do a write-along. So there'll be 3 conversing's and 1 write-along, rather than have 2 streams in one day. That's probably what we're going to do, if that's okay with you. That's probably the only way I can really fit it in with my schedule at the minute. So I haven't had any questions come into the chat box that I can see. So I guess that will be it for this week. Again, thank you so much for being here. Happy writing. Enjoy the writing challenge. I can't wait to see what you all come up with for next week. I went a-wandering is the prompt. Danny will hopefully remind me because I know I'll forget, but it's probably already in the stream deck anyway. Live poetically, all. I like that, Mark. Right back at you. Thank you, Adam, and everyone else. Have a great evening. Right back at you, class. Thank you so much for your time. Happy writing. Stay safe. Go well. See ya.